Have you ever been told time and time again that the pinnacle of good character is to be endlessly kind, to constantly prioritize the needs and desires of others, and to always put everyone else ahead of yourself? This is a message we receive from childhood, echoed by family, society, and culture. But here is a crucial and often unspoken question. Does anyone ever sit you down and honestly tell you that being too kind, too caring, and too self-sacrificing can actually be incredibly dangerous, not just to your peace of mind, but to your very well-being? We are living in a complex world, a world where the beautiful principle of reciprocity often fails, a world where the scales of give and take are perpetually unbalanced, leaving a trail of generous, big-hearted people who can visibly see how their constant giving empties them, draining their reservoirs both financially and emotionally, leaving them feeling hollow and used. This leads us to a startling, almost taboo question. Could being too kind, could an excess of generosity even put our own lives in some form of danger? You might be genuinely surprised and perhaps even shocked by the array of negative outcomes and bad things that can happen to a person precisely because they are kind. Today, in this crucial discussion, I will meticulously outline for you 8 distinct and damaging things that can, and often do, happen to you if you are too nice, if you fail to set boundaries. Furthermore, and perhaps more importantly, I will show you 4 tough, Stoic-inspired, and profoundly effective ways to shield yourself, to build fortifications around your spirit, and to prevent people from taking advantage of your good nature. So let's move on to the first point without any further ado. The first consequence is that you will inevitably cultivate too high hopes for people. The ancient Stoic philosophers, in their timeless wisdom, advised us consistently to accept the world and the people in it exactly as they are, not as we wish they would be. They taught us that our happiness must never be dependent on what other people do or do not do for us. When you learn to give freely, without attaching a web of silent expectations and demands for reciprocation, you effectively shield yourself from the deep pangs of disappointment, and you actively practice a form of emotional detachment that ultimately grants you a calmer, more stable, and more resilient state of mind. The uncomfortable truth, whether we are consciously aware of it or not, is that it is incredibly difficult for human beings to be fully, completely selfless when we give. There is almost always a hidden, often unacknowledged, expectation lurking in the shadows of our generosity. When we give everything we have, our time, our energy, our resources, we secretly, and sometimes not so secretly, expect everyone else to operate by the same generous code when it is finally us who needs something important. The tragic irony is that you have, through your constant giving, trained the people around you to become so accustomed to having everything done for them that they will begin to take it for granted, assuming as a matter of fact that you can and will handle everything in their lives. And tragically, in your own life as well, especially your own, because a twisted logic emerges. If you don't even take care of your own needs and tasks, why on earth would you be reliable enough to take care of other people's? In the cold light of reality, your fervent hopes for reciprocity will almost certainly go unmet, leaving you with a toxic cocktail of bad moods, profound tiredness, simmering anger, and a deep, aching sadness. And yet, if we force ourselves to look at the situation with stark objectivity, we must admit that people aren't necessarily letting you down out of malice. They are simply doing what you should have been doing all along, which is prioritizing and taking care of their own tasks and responsibilities. This consistent dynamic leads people to only expect things from you, which seamlessly brings us to the second point. The Stoics repeatedly emphasized that real, authentic worth and virtue come from acting in a way that is logically sound and morally good, not from merely performing a series of actions that other people want or demand from you. The practice of moderation. of giving in a measured and balanced way is what truly helps you remain the sovereign captain of your own actions and prevents you from falling into self-destructive habits that severely undermine your mental health. You have heard your entire life that human beings are essentially creatures of habit, and this ancient observation couldn't possibly be more true. People are psychologically wired to adapt to patterns, to a specific way of life, and to a predictable symphony of events and behaviors happening around them. The entire modern concept of the comfort zone springs directly from this innate human desire for predictability and lack of strain. This means, quite consequentially, that if you are always giving, if you are perpetually the helper, the people you assist will grow to not just appreciate it, but to expect it from you all the time. You will, unintentionally, lead them into a comfortable zone, a bubble where they feel they no longer have to fulfill many of their own responsibilities because you, the ever-reliable one, will always be there to do them. If you do not value yourself enough to set limits, it is highly unlikely that anyone will look you directly in the eyes and tell you to start thinking more about yourself. At the very least, you should not expect this kind of enlightened empathy from the very people you are constantly helping, because for them to do so would force them to abandon their personal Robin Hood, that's you, which would in turn cost them a great deal of convenience in their own lives. Third, your personal goals and aspirations will not be taken into account by anyone. The Stoics were adamant that we must live a life guided by reason and virtue, which includes the non-negotiable act of setting firm boundaries and putting our own responsibilities and growth first, if we wish to maintain any sense of internal balance and avoid completely sacrificing our identity and well-being on the altar of other people's needs. If you make a habit of consistently putting everyone else's needs before your own, you may actually be unconsciously running away from something painful and frightening inside yourself. Ask yourself honestly, how do you feel when you spend an entire weekend completely alone, or when you come home every single day to an empty house, knowing that no one is there to greet you? If you are frantically doing so many things for others because you are secretly trying to escape from yourself, the eventual emotional blow will be twice as hard to bear. This is because, on one hand, you will inevitably have to face yourself and your inner turmoil sooner or later, and on the other hand, your underlying bad mood and dissatisfaction will only intensify as you continually neglect your own needs in favor of others. Self-care is not a luxury. It is one of the most fundamental pillars of being a healthy, whole individual. Before you can genuinely help others feel better, you must first make absolutely sure that you yourself are happy, emotionally nourished, spoiled in healthy ways and well cared for. To use a simple metaphor, you should never give someone a piece of exquisite chocolate unless you have first truly savored one yourself. Similarly, you shouldn't eagerly offer to clean a friend's entire house from top to bottom until you have first cleaned your own living space and then rewarded yourself by watching a good movie while sipping a glass of wine. Your well-being comes first. The rest of the world comes after you. Fourth, people will gradually begin to think you are weak, and they will treat you accordingly. Stoicism teaches us to work diligently on being emotionally strong and in full command of ourselves. By setting clear, non-negotiable limits and practicing rigorous self-discipline, we can powerfully show others that we are deeply committed to our own responsibilities and personal ideals, thereby earning their genuine respect instead of being perceived as a pushover or weak. If you help other people too much, too frequently, and without them ever having to ask twice, over time you might be seen as an expert in the area of helping, but you might simultaneously be making the exact opposite impression regarding your character strength. When you fail to set boundaries, people unconsciously start to see you as weak, just like the person who constantly opposes a boss might be seen as strong-willed. They will begin to come to you specifically to offload their responsibilities because they know with certainty that you won't say no. On the contrary, as soon as you learn to use that simple magic word, no, they will start to feel something for you that they never thought they would: respect. Without boundaries, you'll simply have a lot of butters, people who only ever come to you when they need something from you. Fifth, Stoicism teaches us the immense importance of being discerning and wise by carefully choosing who to help. With self-control and perspective, we can learn to tell the difference between genuine, authentic people and those who merely want to take advantage, ensuring we don't waste our precious time and energy on relationships that are ultimately parasitic. It's a heartbreakingly common occurrence that people who you thought were good friends suddenly only want to hang out with you or contact you when they have a favor to ask, when they need something. If you think about it logically, it's not so unlikely that this could happen to you, since most people don't typically invite their employees or even their co-workers out for a casual coffee, let alone a beer. So what's happening with you makes a twisted kind of sense, but that doesn't make it fair or right. Therefore, you urgently need to learn how to handle the specific methods I will outline at the end of this video to protect yourself and stop people from taking advantage. Sixth, you will find that you only seem to attract people who want something from you, and never those who genuinely want to give to you or support you. With patient and careful judgment, we can consciously build relationships that are authentic and mutually beneficial. People come into our lives primarily because their energies resonate with our own. That is to say, if we are vibrating at a low frequency, feeling drained, negative, or desperate, we will inevitably attract people who are also negative, depressed, perhaps possess dark souls, and who may even want to hurt us or use us. When our personal vibrations are high, on the other hand, we naturally draw in people who are full of good energy, kindness, excitement, hard work, and joy. Because of this fundamental law of emotional attraction, when we give to everyone indiscriminately, we lose so much vital energy that our own frequency begins to plummet. This low vibration acts as a magnet for needy people, as well as for opportunists who don't have any intention of helping and only want to take whatever they can from us before leaving, often without even a simple thank you. Seventh, you could actually end up getting hooked on a harmful substance or behavior as a coping mechanism. The Stoics taught the paramount importance of being calm and in full command of oneself. Self-discipline in our giving protects us from becoming trapped in destructive habit cycles and allows us to maintain a healthy relationship with our own actions and choices. When a sense of lack or emptiness becomes a regular feature of our lives, the psychological need for something to fill that void grows exponentially, which is the perfect breeding ground for addiction. So one day, someone who truly cares about you might gently point out that you are drinking too much, and not just a spring water. They might also notice that you are eating too much, shopping compulsively, or even gambling too much. It is critical that you pay close attention to what a concerned person says, because your first instinct will likely be to get defensive, even angry with them, and to insist vehemently that you don't have any problems. But this is classic behavior for someone who is so deeply mired in their own issues that they can no longer see the problem clearly. Always remember that people who genuinely care about you want what is authentically best for you. So listen carefully to their observations, because they are trying to help you stop your fall and start moving forward again. Number 8, your very kindness will make people think twice, and not in a good way. Stoicism advises us to do good and right things as a matter of principle, no matter what other people may think or say about us. By focusing on living in perfect alignment with our own beliefs and principles, we build a reputation of integrity that can withstand false accusations and suspicious minds. No matter how much we might wish for a different reality, the truth is that there are not actually that many truly kind people in the world. So if you are one of them, people will often be suspicious of you instead of being impressed and thankful. It won't be long before your excessive kindness makes people wonder what your real angle is, what secret plans you have that you aren't telling anyone about. This could indicate that you've unfortunately met a particularly suspicious group of people, but it's more likely that they are just being ordinarily cautious. The sad fact is that most people who encounter someone who wants to help too much immediately suspect that they are hiding some ulterior motive, some evil plan, and thus decide it's safest to stay away and refuse the help offered. Now let's transition and look practically at what you can actually do to stop this cycle and protect yourself from being used. The first powerful strategy is to pay meticulous attention to how you feel, because your emotions are telling you something vital. Rooted in the Stoic principle of relentless self-awareness, you must learn to monitor your internal state. The Stoics believed it was essential to engage in constant self-reflection to understand your own feelings and desires. By consciously paying attention to your feelings, you can accurately detect if you are giving too much and mentally exhausting yourself. This awareness allows you to recalibrate your focus and find a healthy, sustainable balance. Ask yourself, how does it actually make me feel to help other people? Thinking about yourself and putting your own needs first is such a kind, necessary act of self-preservation that you should feel empowered and positive when you do it. So, if you instead feel overwhelmed, tired, angry, or used, it is a clear signal that it is time to listen to those feelings. If a task you are not obligated to do makes you feel so terrible, you must not lie to yourself about it. Instead, investigate honestly how this act of helping is impacting your overall health. The second plan is to learn not to be afraid of the word no. Following the profound lessons of the Stoics, you must realize that your time and energy are finite, precious resources that need to be deployed wisely and with balance. Self-control can be powerfully demonstrated by your ability to say a clear no when you are already overextended or when a request is plainly unfair. Even though the word no often carries negative connotations and can make us feel guilty or sad, it is completely normal to find it difficult to say. But if we never learn to utter this small but mighty word when someone demands more from us than we can healthily give, a pervasive pessimism will begin to take over our lives. Practice saying it in front of a mirror and affirm to yourself that it is the only way to reclaim your freedom and avoid unnecessary and potentially severe risks to your well-being. The third strategy is to understand that you have a designated time and a sacred place for yourself, and you must respect them fiercely. Following the core Stoic values of self-discipline and self-respect, it is absolutely imperative that you carve out and guard time and mental space for your own care. Engage in activities you genuinely love, whether that is exercise, drawing, listening to music while enjoying a cup of tea, or anything else that rejuvenates your spirit. Fulfill your responsibilities efficiently so you can protect this sacred time. You should take this practice so seriously that you literally schedule it into your calendar every day or every week. Therefore, if someone asks for your help during that reserved time, they would need to be incredibly important to you, and even then, you should feel no remorse in telling them no and enjoying that time solely for yourself. If you prefer a less direct approach, you can offer to help at a different time, but make it explicitly clear that your availability will be limited because you have other priorities. The fourth and final strategy is to identify the energy vampires in your life and consciously distance yourself from them. In alignment with Stoic principles of self-discipline and wisdom, it is crucial to discern which relationships are truly nourishing and which are mentally and emotionally draining. By deliberately staying away from people who constantly sap your energy and contribute nothing positive in return, you are practicing a profound form of self-care and demonstrating Stoic self-control in your social interactions. You must understand that trying to help a certified energy thief is a futile endeavor. These individuals overwhelm you with a constant barrage of complaints, their endless pains, and their catastrophizing view of life. Don't bother trying to fix them, because if their problems were actually solved, they would be forced to stop complaining, a state of being they would find intolerable. In conclusion, according to the profound and practical wisdom of Stoicism, the best measure for all things in life is always the middle ground, the golden mean, and generosity is certainly no exception to this rule. If we give too little, we risk being perceived as selfish and greedy, but if we give excessively, we end up completely drained, bereft of energy, time, and probably money as well. Therefore, you must learn to lean toward the grays, those nuanced areas that still represent the best possible choices for finding a sustainable balance between attending to other people's needs and honoring your own. And if you are ever in doubt, just remember the transformative power of that one magic word, no. This is especially true if someone offers you something that seems too good to be true, like a ride home from the window of their car. Always prioritize your safety and intuition. We have now reached the end of this important journey together, and I sincerely hope that these insights and tips will be of great use to you, empowering you to protect your energy and cultivate a more balanced life. Never forget that you are a crucial, valued part of this community. So if this video has helped you, made you think differently, or taught you something new, please give it a thumbs up so that more people can discover the transformative powers of Stoic wisdom. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to check out our comprehensive ebook on Stoicism, which delves deeper into how you can apply these ancient principles in your own modern life. Subscribe to the channel for your daily dose of Stoic wisdom and personal growth. Thank you for watching.